everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. This is Kana and you're in my corner. I'm here with a very special guest, a prolific voice actor that we've tried to get on for a while. Would you like to introduce yourself to everybody, unveil your identity?
Hello, everybody. It's Wendee Lee coming to you from Los Angeles, California.
I love how we can all be connected and we can have listeners from everywhere to experience this event. This is kind of nice. Now, I was looking over your credits and I was very curious about, you've had a long, long career, and I was wondering what was the inspiration to become an actress? Because it seems that you did theater and you did dance, but was there something in your life that made you think, I want to do that for sure?
Honestly, it's from my earliest memories. I just felt like I had a gift. I was blessed to be bold enough to stand up and perform, and I started in children's theater probably when I was under age 5, and would, constantly do little performances for friends and family. If they had a fireplace, that was a stage to me. And I would sing and dance and just, I was a big old ham. And also I started doing impersonations of friends and family, and it kind of started to turn into a bit of voice matching. And I found that I had this ability to sort of be a vocal chameleon, and thought at some point I've got to try to get into animation. I think it's something that I could really have fun with, and that I might really be able to utilize all these dozens of identities that live inside my head, and I might be able to bring them forth into living, breathing characters. So that's really what the original calling was. I always knew I wanted to be an actor, and I just was, if anything, a little timid to share it with people, because I was very serious and I wanted to be taken seriously, even from my earliest memories as a kid. So it totally was a life calling for me.
And that's very awesome that you can do that now, though I'm sort of curious, were you expecting to be in original animation, like, American cartoons first, or did you find, like, this world of anime and it was sort of new and foreign to you?
Anime completely just presented itself to me. It was a destiny sort of thing. I didn't even really know what it was when I got involved. I just thought that, maybe I could live to see a day where I could be in a Warner Brothers production, or a Hanna-Barbera, or Fractured Fairy Tales, and all the great classic cartoons that I grew up with. And most of our cartoons used to be all American original titles, but then once in a while there'd be something that would slip in, and we would get a little, Astro Boy, or Kimba the White Lion, or some of these other titles that we didn't really even know that they were anime at the time. So it was still very much a new art form to me. I was just hoping to be able to make crazy voices and to disguise myself with different vocal characters, and to actually incorporate that into my world of being a working actor. So coming into anime was completely surprised for me. It was a big surprise. I didn't expect it in any way.
So you kind of got to see the introduction of anime to the States, and you also got to see the big boom. So you've kind of seen the roller coaster effect. How would you say that experience was?
It was great to be a part of something from the ground up, that's for sure. And I felt like it was very innovative and very cool and underappreciated when I first really got a sense of what the artistry was, and how incredible the hyper realities were in anime, stuff that we had never been exposed to in Western storytelling. So it was something I really felt supportive of and believed in right from the beginning, because of the extraordinary art form itself, and how incredible the worlds were in, especially the sci-fi anime titles. So I felt like, people, if you just got a taste of this, I think you'd really, latch on and dig it and support it like we did. And there was also the possibility that it could have just been sort of a fad or something that came and went. And we never really, I say we, the group of the community of actors that I worked with in Hollywood, we didn't really know what happened to the titles that we were dubbing or where this stuff was ending up, because it certainly wasn't airing in those days. And once we finally got a show to air, oh gosh, I guess Robotech, yeah, would be the first big production. That was just completely mind-blowing because it was a serial. It was happening in prime time in Japan, and it was very much accepted as an adult series. And, families could watch it, but it was played up to the intellect of the viewer. So the whole advent of anime making it to air and starting to broadcast widely was just so exciting, and that's when things really seem to become more permanent and catch hold in our culture.
Definitely. In the early 2000s, you had things such as Toonami, and then you had Adult Swim starting to form and all that. And so it must have been kind of odd or sort of surreal to see the explosion of it.
Definitely. I couldn't have predicted that. I didn't realize once it had a real platform to launch on with a wide-reaching audience. I didn't realize it was going to blow up like it did, and it was just incredible to be a part of that and to really feel so satisfied in honing and working on such a detailed art form and see that people cared and that we actually had fans and viewers and that were loyal to our series and couldn't wait for more. And also, it was really great at that point to be able to provide content to viewers that they didn't have to pay for, because up until that time, most titles had to be purchased. And when I would interact with the fans, that would be the one limitation to them being able to see more of what we do, is that they'd have to purchase every title. So being broadcast was huge, and it made a major impact on anime being a permanent fixture in our culture.
And now today, it kind of seems like video games are sort of taking the center stage in geekdom, and I'm sure you've sort of seen that too, being in Los Angeles.
Definitely. Games have been a big blessing for us. We've been able to bring in new actors and work with celebrities and all kinds of different kinds of talent, and it doesn't require constant skill, the skill that dubbing takes, the synchronicity, the matching the lip flaps to your voice, and or vice versa. And the skill that takes years to really get good at and to be able to really perform and deliver quickly and have all of those skills. It's something very much like playing an instrument. And the more years that you practice and you use that skill, the better you can get at it. So when gaming came along, not a lot of the work was for sync to picture. So we could just create the dialogue dry or by itself, and it opened up the parameters for lots of other people to get involved, and it just sort of ballooned and became the mainstay of our business. And now it is much more the focus over anime. Far fewer, as I'm sure the listeners know, far fewer titles are being licensed now. Anime titles have been on the down spiral lately. We're not getting as much material, and boy, I miss it.
Oh, definitely. Though I have to wonder, you've seen the industry sort of grow up as a whole, but you've also seen the technology evolve. Is there any one thing that seems the most beneficial to you now that you didn't have back in the day?
Oh, yes. Primarily the fact that we use SEMTI code, a time code that's printed into our work prints that we use in the studio. But the big technological advent has been using a beat package, which generally is generated from Pro Tools, a software recording that we use. And we don't have to read time code to know when to match the action of our character's speech pattern. We can actually be cued in with the series of beats. But, I love to tell the stories with my colleagues back in the day, oh, we worked before there were any beeps. We just guessed when to jump in, and now everybody's got it so easy because all they have to do is have the headphones on and listen for 3 beats and then come in on the imaginary 4th beat, or what would be like the downbeat of a measure of music. So that has changed everything. We also have amazing editing capacity now, again, with Pro Tools, to be able to slide a sound file, what we would say is right or left of the point in the picture that we're placing it to. So a great performance doesn't have to be redone because it doesn't match sync. If the timing's close, we can move that sound file and massage it right into place and make it work. So technically speaking, we've gotten more high tech, but it is so much more friendly for the output of work that we're now expected to do. And that's another huge part of the dubbing world, is that the budgets are very, very low. It's considered post-production, and everybody says, we'll fix it in post, but there's usually no money left when you hit post. So at that point, we're expected to have a high yield of productivity per hour, where we don't have the luxury to sort of kick back and take our time to do 5, 10, 15 takes per line. We got to pretty much get it done in 1, 2, 3 takes and keep rocking the session. So we make our best effort to keep production costs down so we can continue to get shows licensed.
Well, certainly with your experience and when you're talking to them youngins, waving your cane and all, it must really help to be in the business that much, and especially when you're vocal directing.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, when I first started directing, I was on Power Rangers, and I was working with the cast when they would be inside of their helmets. And so all of the dialogue that was being played or aired to picture with the cast in costume where their mouths are covered was all handled in the studio. So at that time, we didn't have beeps. We were using half-inch tape, and we'd have a couple challenges. One, we were working with young cast members who had never looped themselves or been experienced on a soundstage with their recording their own voices. So that took a little time to break in and develop. And then the other thing was tape used to often not lock up to the system, so you would have to kind of abort a take and start over and wait for the machines to lock up. Otherwise, you couldn't record. So there were a lot of technical aspects that would kind of drag out the productivity of a session, and it would be very frustrating. And now I can help an actor who's brand new to the medium really learn how to have a handle on dubbing by the end of a 2-hour session. It's almost like a crash course because the technology lends itself to helping people to support the actor and their performance and make it as easy on them as possible.
And you've been there. You've been there, like, during times where it's, it's frustrating. You can't get a line out, or you can't do it with enough emotion and whatnot. So I'm sure that helps, bring out the performance, and help them sort of keep their cool when they're in the booth.
Definitely. I mean, everything we can do to support the actor is sort of the goal. So because you're in there, making crazy sounds and all isolated by yourself in a booth with a director and an engineer on the other side of the glass, and it can be very intimidating because you've got to try crazy things. You're making strange noises, and you're, pretending that you're falling down or being stabbed, or you're blown up and, careening through the air, and you physically go through a lot of changes while you're finding these sounds. So it's a very intimate process. It can be very intimidating, and you can be very self-aware if you're not in a very creative, open-minded type session where everybody's pulling for you. So yeah, those are the goals, to keep the actor supported as much as possible and let them just get in there and jam and create.
Definitely. And we're going to take a very short break here on 91.8 The Fan, but don't go anywhere because you're going to miss our interview with Wendee Lee. So keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, everything you want and nothing you don't.
See you soon.
This is a public service announcement. It has recently come to our attention that not wearing shirts causes Sassenach cancer, double herpes, and super diabetes. To prevent these made-up illnesses, 918 The Fan is distributing protective clothing specifically designed to protect you from hazardous materials through a patented process that we won't explain because you'll probably just be too stupid to understand there's totally not fake or made-up science. To get your protective garments, simply head over to 918thefan.com and click on the apparel button under store. Remember, only 918 The Fan's protective shirts are 100% effective in protecting you from the radiation given off by death crystals and dysentery lasers. Don't settle for cheap imitations. It could cost you your life.
Hey everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan, you're in my corner, and I still have my special guest in the corner, at least I hope so. Yes?
Yeah, I'm here.
Alright, awesome. You never know, sometimes I've gone back from break and all I've heard is beep, beep, beep.
Oh no.
So one thing I was really curious about is you have an extensive vocal range. For instance, your Kana and Lucky Star, and you're very sexy as Faye Valentine. And I have to wonder, is there some sort of trick to getting your voice to change in so many ways, or is it just practicing, at home? What helped you develop that sort of vocal range?
Oh, that's very flattering. Thank you. I think survival. As an actor, you want to be as diverse as possible so you can be hired as often as possible. But it's a funny thing. I feel like in some ways my ability to constantly look to develop and create new voices, which is a goal I'm always working on, I do feel like there's been a bit of backlash from the fans because I work a lot. And I used to work much more than I do now, and I just have to make a comment about all of the flaming that goes on online. It's just so discouraging at times. And I don't think people realize that, we're human beings with hearts that can be broken. And when people, criticize you for the mere fact that you're still working, not that they don't like your work, which usually the comments I get, it's really discouraging. And the people close to me, my agents and family, say, don't go online, don't listen to that stuff, ignore it. But, being diverse and having lots of different characters and lots of different voices has been my mainstay in this business. And not everybody has a huge bag of tricks and lots of dozens of people living inside their head like me, but I certainly do. So I bring them to the party. And, it's really just been exploring kind of how I would a character on stage or on film, just thinking outside of myself and getting into the shoes and the life and the persona of someone else, and the characters that I'm attracted to. I love playing humor. I'm well known for my hyper perky, pratfalling teenage girls. And, I love being strong and sexy and powerful and playing Feifei and lots of other very curvaceous, skimpily dressed women in anime. And, it's just a love of the medium. I just really want to learn and grow and continue to develop to the very end of my career. And acting is the kind of career that we portray people at all places in life. So it's something you can do as a kid. It's something you can do as a senior citizen. And certainly, what all those years in between are where you develop all of that stuff. So it's my love of being a chameleon and playing outside of myself and, kind of tricking people into believing I'm someone else. And, animation's just given me a great opportunity to grow all of that stuff and to learn so very much.
Well, one thing I have to say is please don't let the internet discourage you. There are people who just go onto the internet just to be mean. And there's so much animosity towards the U.S. Anime industry. But there's so much also, there's some positives too. I mean, that's actually the reason why we made this site, is because we wanted a place where there was a positive, about that industry. So I would just say don't even listen to it. Just flip your hair and go, pshaw.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's funny because when you go and when you see some of these chat rooms and stuff, you can't make any comments. I can't approach anybody or defend myself because I'm not a member, and I certainly can't give out my personal information. But it does seem like most of it's generated from junior high school aged or high school kids, and live and learn. As you get older, you realize that being critical doesn't automatically make you somebody special. So I just wish people understood how hard we work to deliver the very best work possible. And I'm such a perfectionist, I'll go in and correct what everyone else might think is a great delivery or a good performance. And if I know I can do it better, I'll beg the director to let me try again. And we just put an awful lot of love and heart into this business. The medium's worth it. The stuff is amazing, and I'm a huge fan now myself, and I just think culturally it's been so good for our countries to have an international exchange of artistry.
Well, what matters the most is that you love it and you have a passion for it, because when the people who love it work on it, then the people who watch it will also love it.
Yeah.
Now, I am kind of curious, though, are there any projects that you would like to sort of promote to the fans out there? Anything that, recently came out or that you can talk about?
There's so little I can talk about right now with the anime world, but certainly Haruhi is out there. That one's all released, and we can talk about it, but I spent most of my summer working on Haruhi and the Endless Fate. I thought I was going to die. It just kept going and going. I don't think I could go swimming or look at fireworks or any of the other activities again, but no, it was a blast finding a way to keep the same situations fresh in each episode, but that was really fun, and we're still waiting to do the feature. So the feature film is still coming up. I've been doing a lot of work for Mattel lately. I've been working on Polly Pockets and Monster High, so I have some original animation going on, and I have several games that I've directed in the last 6 months or so that I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but they're coming up. And I have another really popular franchise that we're going to be starting in April that the fans will recognize right away once that can be announced. And I've been focusing this year on doing a bit of traveling and attending conventions all over the place. So I'm posting that information on my Facebook fan page. And I'd love for any of our listeners to please join me there. It's a great way for me to directly answer questions or speak to individuals, or sometimes people send me artwork, and I just love that. And I post all of the appearances that I'll be in there. So should I add that address?
Oh, yes, please do.
It's Wendee Lee-Artist. And Wendee Lee is all E's, WENDEELEE-artist. And I'd love for you to join me there.
Conventions must be something that's really hard to schedule and plan for, but it must be sort of rewarding to see the fans on a face-to-face basis.
I love it so much. I look forward to seeing our fans, especially kids. And when I see families coming to the conventions and the expense and the sacrifice to get everybody there, but the parents are supporting the children's interest. It's just a really beautiful experience. And I worked with kids quite a bit and taught all through the beginning of my career and supporting myself as an actor, and I have a deep connection with them. So that's a big treat. And I just love the cosplayers. I think that cosplay is on its own reviving the art of sewing in this country. So it's fantastic to see all these creations people come up with and how committed they are to playing these characters, and just, having an exchange with other voice artists and animators, and getting to being able to visit all these great places all over the world. I just got to go to London for the first time last year. And
ooh, jealous.
The British fans were amazing. I had the best time. I feel like I left a little piece of my heart there, and actually, we just had the big earthquake in New Zealand yesterday, and I'm scheduled to go to New Zealand next month, so I'm a little nervous about that. And I'm very concerned about all of our friends in Christchurch in New Zealand, so sending support and prayers to everybody there. And several other places. I'm going to Ohio and Phoenix and New Jersey, and all of it will be posted on my Facebook page. And it's really great when I talk to people who say, "Hey, I heard your interview, and I wanted to ask you," and they can come up and give me a personal question, or related to something in this business. And it's wonderful, because for years I worked in anime and games and had no idea we even had fans. We didn't really have access to each other, so I felt very humbled by all the support that we have out there.
Well, the internet has totally opened the door for the positive and the negative, but conventions have grown so big that it's almost awe-inspiring.
Isn't it incredible? It's like every major city seems to have their own convention, and every college seems to have an anime club. And it's just so great that not just children but adults get this art form, this wonderful alternative storytelling, without tidy, neat, happily ever afters every time that keep you guessed and challenged intellectually. The art form itself is just incredible, and it just goes to show you how many smart people there are out there that get it. Of course, it's not everything smart. A lot of it's pretty wacky.
That's true.
It's pretty crazy. You gotta love that too.
And people cosplaying in their underwear with bat wings, that's some of the weird stuff out there, but you never know.
Yeah, somebody sent me a link to, it looked like the opening credits to a feature film, and it looked like a swarm of butterflies flying in the sky. Has anybody heard of this one? I didn't catch the title, but it was a Japanese client that actually showed it to me in a session I was directing, and it was in Japanese, so I don't know what the show was, but you follow this swarm of butterflies flying above the trees and soaring in the sky and flying against the clouds in the background, and you move in and you move in, and the more you move in, you suddenly realize they're not butterflies at all. In fact, they're not even animals. They're flying panties.
Only in Japan.
Right? So I said, well, it's a good thing those things don't need a voice.
That would be an interesting character to voice. Flying everywhere.
Oh, wow. We have voiced Stranger Things.
Now, I'm kind of curious, since we're nearing the end of the interview, if you'd be willing to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
What is that?
We ask everybody if they'd be willing to do a radio bump for us, and we do it live on air.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Okay.
So
well, that'll be cold reading, yes.
Yes, definitely. So if they do, if there's any bloopers, everybody gets to hear it. No pressure.
I see. Okay.
But we were wondering if you'd be willing to say, my name is, you insert your name, I do this, you insert what you do, whether it's a character or a certain aspect of your work, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Tuned into 91.8 The Fan. Oh boy. Okay.
I know the numbers. I know the numbers throw everybody off. Don't worry. But
okay.
We're ready.
All right. Hello, my name is Wendee Lee, and I am the voice of Feifei, Haruhi, Kanata, Ururu, Yoruichi, and others. And you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan. See you, Space Cowboys.
Oh, that was sexy. Now, thank you so much for that. That was great and flawless, and you didn't have to worry about messing up at all.
Oh, I feel bad I didn't shout out to the cowgirls, too. Hey!
Actually, if you want to say anything else to the fans, now's your chance to do that.
Oh, it's just so wonderful to know that there is a great medium like this out there for the fans, and it's such a cool delight to be able to sort of interact with you guys out there on the airwaves, cyberspace. And I've got to thank you all for supporting, and there's lots to come, so stay tuned.
And if you missed any of this interview, don't worry, it'll be posted on the website in about the next few days. And thank you so much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, and thanks to all of you there. Take care. I hope to see you at a convention sometime soon.
Make sure to keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, everything you want, nothing you don't. Coming up next is Flo with their song Go.